everyone, it's Heather from Heather Travels, and I'm here today with my daughter Megan.
Hi everyone.
And in today's video, we're going to be telling you about her visit to the National WWII Museum in New Orleans that she visited as part of her music tour with her music department from her high school in February 2019. So they walked to the museum, right?
From our hotel.
It was very close. I'll put
like
a map
2 blocks
right
maybe.
here. They were staying at the Hilton Garden Inn Convention Center, and I will put a link to the video. We talked about that hotel there, and it's I looked it up one time, and it's like the second most widely visited museum in the United States.
It's very interesting. And
my
nice.
Older son Andrew and my dad actually went there on a trip they took to New Orleans in 2009. 10 years ago. I have never been there, even though I've been to New Orleans a few times. And Megan said it, and Megan and Andrew both said it was excellent. So Megan, can you kind of tell us about it?
Okay, so we got into the museum, and right away there was like this big memorial sort of branching off from the lobby, not library.
Was there a library?
There was not.
Okay.
Well, unless you count all the artifacts.
Is there
library?
Can you do research there? Did you happen to notice? It's so big. I mean, I was looking at...
I mean, I'm sure you could research off of just the stuff that's
in there.
All the...
By the way, I will put a link in the description below to the National WWII Museum's website so you can learn more about it there. Okay, go ahead.
Okay, so we got in, and there was sort of like a memorial to the Navy, I think it was.
Okay.
Every brick on the floor was inscribed with the name of a
sailor,
someone who had given their life in the line of duty.
Okay.
And well, I don't know if they actually died. Someone who put in service.
So a veteran.
Yeah, a veteran. That's the word. And the walls were decorated with photos and stuff of them. And then...
How long were you there?
Oh, a good couple hours, probably.
Were you able to see everything in that time?
Not everything, I don't think.
How big of a place is this?
Fairly big. There's a lot of separate corridors and areas branching off from the main part.
And you just got
there's
to...
a lot of... there's multiple buildings.
Oh, and you just got to walk around on your own?
Yes.
It was not part of a tour or anything like that?
No
Okay.
tour.
All right, go on.
Okay, so... two main... I think the main exhibits there right now are the Road to Tokyo and the Road to Berlin. Those were very interesting. They actually told a story as you walked through them. Extremely interactive. You felt like you were actually in that place. In one room, it had lighting effects and temperature effects to make it feel like you were in winter.
Oh, wow.
There were many setups, scenes, tanks, cars, planes, right there on the ground next to you. Scenery on the floor. The walls were decorated like they'd been through a bombing.
So very immersive?
Very immersive, yes. Okay. It was, overall, that just took my breath away, how real it felt. There were many quotes throughout that from actual soldiers and people who had experienced like the Holocaust and World War II. I took a couple pictures of the quotes on the wall.
And again, I'll put pictures at the end of this video that Megan took at the museum for you to see.
So yeah, the roads to Tokyo and Berlin were very interesting. Those were definitely my favorite part of the entire museum. They probably took not more than 20 minutes each to get through.
Okay. What other exhibits did you see?
Other exhibits, there was an entire exhibit about the women of the war, and how they all went to work because their husbands were away at war. And when the husbands came back, they were like, oh, you don't need to work anymore. But the women were like, no way, we're working now. We're gonna.
I want my job.
I want my job.
Yeah.
We're gonna take authority. there was an actual like little house set up, and in different. We didn't get much time to go through that, spend much time there, but on the path there was a little house, and in the house you could pull out different drawers, go look at different things. There was Navy, Army suits set up, uniforms set up in glass cases and stuff, and it told you about different parts of the house and resources in there that people use.
It was set up as an American home.
Yes, an American home.
During World War II, and what they would have had to do. Okay.
In that section also, it showed a lot of products that came out at that time. Certain gums, brands that
first started during
World War II. Lots of gun displays.
Okay.
GUN gun. Like rifles and all the guns used during the war, weapons, more uniforms. There was a section on that too.
All actual artifacts from the time period, right? Okay.
Yes, they were definitely real. They had them. Everything was in like glass display cases. There were stands with letters and record tracks, record papers, logs. Plain logs. So that was really cool too.
Okay. Can you think of any other museums that we've visited that it reminded you of?
Yes, it did remind me of something. I couldn't think of what
it was.
It was though, but it definitely felt familiar in a sense. We've been to something like that.
Like just thinking of.
I think actually exhibits at the Science Museum of Minnesota.
Or what about the Museum of Science and Industry in Chicago? Do you remember that one very well?
Not really.
Okay. Or the History Center in St. Paul? Do you remember that one?
No.
Okay. Anyway, but you feel it was very well done.
Yes, definitely.
Would it be appropriate for all ages, or is there a particular...
I'd say probably don't bring your little kids there, because it is very impactful.
Okay. You asked me if they had a Holocaust, a specific Holocaust exhibit, and
yes,
it didn't.
There was not a specific Holocaust exhibit, but it did have interviews on the walls about people from the Holocaust.
Megan has a particular interest in that because one of probably my favorite show she was ever in. She was in a show called
And Then They Came For Me.
And Then They Came For Me, and she played a real person who is still alive today. She played Eva Geringer Schloss.
Oui. Yes.
Who is she's alive and she lives in London. She's a Holocaust survivor, and at the time she was in Auschwitz, she was 15 years old.
There was actually a line that me and my friend, the girl who played Anne Frank, said together. We were reciting like our experience in Auschwitz and what was happening at that time, and we actually said together, I am 15 years old.
Yeah. Eva's, the real Eva's mother married Anne Frank's father after World War II ended in the 50s. I think they got married. And so the girl that Megan played was technically Anne Frank's stepsister, although Anne had died. She died in the...
They were very close.
They knew each other before
the war.
They both families went into hiding and then were captured eventually and taken to concentration camps. So, and Anne Frank and her sister and her mother all died in the concentration camps. Eva's father and brother died in the concentration camp, but Eva and her mother survived. And like I said, Eva's mother married Anne Frank's father after. So Megan played her in this very moving, emotional multimedia production that we did. It had real interviews by Eva, fairly recently filmed. I don't know, maybe it was like in the 80s or 90s. Mm-hmm. And then this other guy, Ed, hello. He was friends with Anne Frank too before she got captured. He had a crush on her, and he's still alive. Well, I think he's dead now. Yeah. But at the time they filmed it, he was alive, and so there were interviews with those two people, with the actors doing basically flashbacks of the memories, if you will, from the war. And so Megan learned a lot about the Holocaust from doing that show. And so that's why she was interested. If you're interested in that, a couple of places I would recommend. There is a Holocaust museum in Washington, D.C. The other exhibit that I saw that was incredibly good, and I really got to take Megan and Ben there, is at the Imperial War Museum in London. There is a Holocaust exhibit that's very, very good. I actually went through it by myself because at the time I was there with my husband and Andrew was only 10. I felt that would be too upsetting for Andrew to see. And I think I was right. So I went through it alone while Andrew and my husband were looking at something else. But and I'm sure they've got to have some museums that have good stuff in Germany.
Definitely.
What do you think?
Oh, yeah. There's actual museums in and near Auschwitz, I think.
Oh, yeah.
Concentration camps themselves have been turned into museums.
Right. So, but you felt that this was a very highly educational.
Definitely.
But also interesting and not entertaining.
Yes.
I don't know.
Not entertaining.
But I mean...
Enjoyable
to experience and visit.
Yes.
Okay.
Along with what we said earlier about the museum being immersive, two things specifically we did there. One little area of the museum was a gift shop and actually a cafe that was just like what it would be back during World War II.
Oh, was it really?
It was
like a 40s soda shop or something?
Yeah, it was like a 40s soda shop. It was amazing, very colorful. The menus were written in chalk. I got a chocolate malt there, and it was good.
Okay.
I also got a shirt. I think it's...
Do you want me to get it?
Yeah, go get it.
Hold on.
Here is the shirt that I bought. It says Unida la Victorie, which means one in
victory.
One in victory.
Yeah, and it says
National World War II Museum, New Orleans.
And it has a fleur-de-lis. So, one of the reasons Megan was so, and you heard her answer me in French earlier, we all, French is our language of choice in our family. Andrew took French all through middle school, high school, college, and he...
6 years?
Yeah, and he went to France. And
10 years.
Yeah.
That would be 10 years.
He went to
French.
France when he was in high school, which I've talked about in a previous video. And then he went to, and I'll link that video up here, he went to Morocco, Belgium, and France on a J-term study abroad, which all speak French. Megan is taking French. I was actually the long-term substitute teacher for her French class the beginning of her 8th grade year.
8th grade, yeah.
Yeah. And Ben's planning on probably taking French when he gets to that point. You can't start taking it until 7th grade in our school district. But, so yeah, she likes that this is in French, and she enjoyed the French influence of New Orleans. Any last
things about? The last thing I want to talk about is it was sort of like a movie that we went to at the museum.
Oh, the 4D movie.
Yeah, it was a 4D movie. It had things up on a stage that rose from the stage below. Radio, plane.
So a multimedia presentation.
It was really hard to describe.
It was narrated by Tom Hanks, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was Tom Hanks was the sort of main character, I guess you could say.
Tom Hanks, if you remember, was a lead in the movie Saving Private Ryan, and I know that he did a lot of other stuff with World War II around the time he made that movie, and so that might have been around the same time that he recorded the narration for that. Filmed. Oh, he was in it too? He's in it. Okay.
It was very real. Actually, me and my friend who I was sitting with a couple times were scared bullets were actually going to rain down on us. or cannons were actually going to fire at us. Lighting effects were huge, sound, temperature, um,
Smells?
no, not smells,
Okay.
but near the end of the video, an atomic bomb went off. It scared the crap out of everyone in that room. All of a sudden, it just went dark, and then suddenly there was just this blinding flash and a wind on all sides. It was scary.
So to really make you feel
To really experience that, the people who actually experienced that, I don't even want to think about that, because in that room, in a movie that we knew was fake, well, not fake, but manufactured.
Yeah.
I don't want to know what they actually experienced.
Okay.
I hope I never have to experience something like that. Throughout the movie, there was many times I felt like that. The ambushes, the screen was almost on all sides of us. It felt like we were actually there. There were real pictures, real interviews of people who fought in the war. It was very informative and, again, immersive.
How long was it?
40 minutes, I think.
Do you know if that's like an extra charge thing?
I'm not
Separate
sure.
We'll have to check the website.
I think it might be, because we got tickets.
Okay, so kind of like, I suppose, when you go, like the Science Museum in Minnesota, if you want to go to an Omni film.
Exactly.
We were members of the Science Museum for many, many years, and so members, you would get one free Omni film per visit. But if you were going just as a member of the general public, you'd have to pay your admission to the museum, and then you'd have to pay a separate price for the film. So it's probably something like that, I'm guessing. But you can look and follow the link I put in the description below and learn about that if you want to go visit there. So, but you would highly recommend this place for visitors.
Most definitely.
If you were in New Orleans, would you call this a must?
Yes.
See, do.
Definitely
Okay.
visit it.
Great. Okay. So that's the National World War II Museum in New Orleans. Thank you guys for joining us today, and thank you, Megan, for your insights and sharing your experience. And we will see you. There's one more video in the New Orleans series coming up, and it's going to be on the riverboat Natchez, which I have been on too. So we're going to talk about that, and that'll be it for the New Orleans series. Thank you guys for joining us today. Safe travels.
Safe travels.